Hello everybody, welcome to Austin Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already and drop a like on this video. I am trying to hit 130,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Also drop a like, only takes 1 second, makes a massive difference. Also the intro is supposed to be 100K because I know I'll hit more than that this year, but I don't want to say 130 because that's a very specific and weird thing. So I don't know. Today's video is a conversation about two different NBA teams who have their two star players out for a significant portion of time and what that means for their season going forward. It is the Clippers as well as the Portland Trailblazers. The Clippers sit at the 8th seed in the Western Conference, just barely below 500 with one more loss than they do have wins. Meanwhile, the Portland Trailblazers are at 39% win percentage with a 16-25 record. But Paul George is out with an injury, and Damian Lillard is out with an even bigger injury. And that kind of means the end of the season for both of these two teams, especially the Portland Trailblazers. So I wanted to talk about both of these team situations and what it means for the future. So first we're going to talk about the Blazers. Dame is out for 6 to 8 weeks, and that's the optimistic assessment because there's a lot of people around the league who believe that he is going to be out for the entire year. And honestly, when he's out for up to 2 months, the season will already be almost over. And at that point, they're going to have a terrible record. Why even bother bringing him back? So when I was looking up like details about the injury, there's an article that I saw that was Dame's injury is probably, sadly, exactly what the Blazers need. And that's probably true. If I'm right and they have their first round, they do have the first round pick. The first round pick does belong to the Bulls. However, it's lottery protected. So they're going to fall in the lottery and they're going to have their pick. But, and hopefully that will convey for the Bulls later on. But the way that this could actually end up being good news is the season for the Blazers was already going poorly. Obviously, you don't want a player to be injured, but just a reason for Dame to not give them too many wins is cool. It's a matter of them losing for a little bit will result in a high draft pick. A high draft pick maybe results in trading for some sort of star caliber player. So let's fast forward to this offseason. Let's say the Blazers get the 4th pick in the draft. That happens. Some star player becomes available because a star player almost always becomes available. I'm not going to name names right now. We'll just say somebody. You trade that 4th pick for that player along with some salary filler. And then suddenly maybe you're looking at a much better team. Maybe CJ McCollum's a part of the trade. Maybe he's not. Apparently teams view him as a negative asset, which is interesting to me. I guess he does make more money than he's probably worth, and he's older. But either way, he probably has more value sticking around with you than otherwise. So the pick will be there. Anthony Simons. That's where things might get interesting because Anthony Simons has been very, very good as of late. And I wonder if he really showcases himself to have star potential this season. Right now he's shooting 39% from 3 on 6 attempts, and he has like the highest pull-up 3-point percentage in the game. If he ends up showing like real star power as a young guard about to get his rookie extension, I wonder if they sign and trade him, or if they view it as, hey, Dame is like 32 and he's probably not going to be here much longer. Do we want to trade our 22-year-old up-and-coming guard, who ironically has some kind of similar skills to Damian Lillard as a pull-up 3-point shooter as a 6'3 guard? That's interesting. And that's a situation that I could see the argument on both sides. I could see, hey, go all in while you have Dame, trade Anthony along with that pick. You could probably get a damn good haul with that. Like, say you have CJ still around, say you have Dame, maybe Norman Powell goes in the move, but Simons, that pick, whatever salary filler, maybe you get like 1, maybe even 2 star caliber players. I can absolutely see an argument for that side. I can also see the argument, and probably the more rational one, but also the less fun one, which is just you're going to have to blow this team up at some point, maybe keep your young up-and-coming talent. So that's interesting. I'd actually be curious to see what Blazers fans think of that, because I really do believe there's a genuine shot that Anthony Simons gets traded, but also a genuine shot that they're like, we're going to stick with our young gun that we have right now. So that and the first-round pick, basically, because Dame is going to miss a bunch of time, they weren't going to make the playoffs anyways. They're going to be a lot worse now. It's probably a good thing. It's probably going to result in more assets and more trade ability than the Blazers have had, and maybe Damian Lillard's entire career. So, honestly, I wouldn't be too upset if I was a Blazers fan. You never want a player to be injured, especially an older player, so that's games that he's not going to be able to play that he would have as the clock eventually runs out, even though I don't think Dame is near the edge of that or anything like that at all. It's just he is in his 30s, and that's when you start to wonder when the end is truly coming. But the point is, probably a good thing for them. The Clippers, on the other hand, it's not a guarantee that the Clippers fall out of the playoffs, because right now they are basically 2 games back from the 5th seed or 1 game back from the 9th seed. And they're not going to drop below the Blazers, I don't think. So they're not going to get any worse. The odds are they're not going to get any worse than the 9th seed, which means they would be in the play-in tournament. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they are still a playoff team. And Paul George's injury has a shorter time frame. It's expected to be about 4 weeks, maybe. I think it said 4 to 6 weeks. But I think it said he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. But it's something to do with his shoulder, which he's had a history of shoulder injuries before. So, yeah, okay, according to Mark Stein, it's 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know where I got 4 to 6 from. But the thing is, I might not have reacted to that. I might have been like, they can stay in the play-in tournament, and when he comes back, they'll be good enough to stay in the play-in tournament and maybe win a play-in game and get the 8th seed or the 7th seed. But a report came out that the Clippers are going to allow Paul George's injury to kind of dictate what their game plan is going into the trade deadline. From Bleacher Report, Paul George's injury could dictate LA Clippers' direction at trade deadline. And there's been a couple of reports that they're looking to be sellers, not buyers at the deadline, which is a little interesting to me because there's a couple of players that are like, are you sure you don't want to keep that player around for when Kawhi and Paul George are back next season? But maybe they're trying to just evaluate their roster as a whole and see what kind of changes they can make. Maybe they're like, hey, we might as well just tank the season a little bit, evaluate what we're doing with the players outside of our big 2. So that's interesting. I don't necessarily, because like I know Serge Ibaka is up for trade. They would look to trade Eric Bledsoe. There's a world where they trade Marcus Morris, though I pray, because I know my team needs a big, more defensive-minded power forward. I pray my team doesn't trade for Marcus Morris, because I really, really don't like Marcus Morris, because I just don't like dirty players, and he's very often a dirty player, or just one of those guys who gets in people's faces for no fucking reason, and some people enjoy the game that way. I think it's fucking stupid. So hopefully my team doesn't trade for him. I have seen a lot of Bulls fans ask for a Serge Ibaka trade, which is interesting because Serge Ibaka has been down this year, but he could be a good backup big man. He'd certainly be better than Tony Bradley, but then the contract stuff, I don't know. Either way, the Clippers are going to look to make some trades potentially, and with Paul George being out for this extended period of time, at the very least, the Clippers are probably going to end up as a play-in team. The Blazers, on the other hand, their season is done. The Blazers are not going to be in the playoffs this year, and that's unfortunate, but also kind of fortunate because they kind of needed to just have a year where they're getting a really high asset. So fast forward going into next year, the Blazers might have the best roster they've ever had. It might be a blessing in disguise. But yeah, that's my thoughts on both of those teams and those 2 star players' injuries. It sucks to see people get injured, but at least in the case of the Blazers, it could end up having a silver lining for sure. But that is it. Goodbye.